we've been promoting a curfew as a quid pro quo, if you like, a respite for residents against what might happen in the future. And we're promoting it now because we're concerned that if development occurs under the guidance of your master plan, if it were to go through essentially unchanged, that people will be slapping down millions of dollars in investments, and then it becomes harder to do. Now, if we are successful in getting a curfew, I'm sort of curious as to how the operations of your airport would move forward in the master plans of the future, because they have to be reviewed every 5 years.
Sorry, I don't understand the actual question.
Well, have you contemplated how the airport operation will go forward if the curfew's in place as C4C has been proposed?
Obviously if there's a curfew, that would involve cancelling a number of flights that come in late at night and early in the morning now. So that would impact quite a bit of marginal flights, so flights to Gold Coast and flights to Perth. Obviously it would stop the expansion of more of those services that come in the early morning, late at night. The reality is that it would have the greatest impact on international arrivals into Canberra because they need to get in early. And one of the things in terms of getting international into Canberra is we're not going to get cream of the crop, the best flights, but the best times, but we might be able to get some international flights in from, say Singapore at 5:30 or something like that. So that it would probably have the biggest impact on those sorts of flights.
But surely there are ways, Tom, that you could manage the airport operations around that curfew?
Well, if the airlines choose to come in later, that might be the case. But unfortunately, with the more marginal routes, we don't get the best times, the best picks of the time. So we get those routes at times that border on those curfews that are those shoulder sort of times. So those sort of routes would be the ones that would go first. And so it would be the routes that have just started, and probably the future growth of the longer haul routes where the time zone is more important that would be impacted the most by curfew.
Can I interrupt and say that let's move on to the last two questions and finish up? And
just a moment. The aircraft noise you hear now is from planes that take off to the south.
We don't hear them.
Okay. So there's a question.
Not on the decibel.
There's a question from Murray, which will take us to 9 o'clock. So let's hear from Murray, and then we'll take a little vote if people want to extend the meeting or not to hear further questions. So let's hear from Murray.
Just one clarification. Tom more or less implied that you have to be under flight paths to be affected by aircraft noise, whereas most of the noise complaints are from outside the ADF 20 boundary. So the majority of noise complaints now, as we exist in Sydney and places, it's outside the ADF 20. So we're right adjacent to the flight path here. People will complain about the noise. But I want to ask a personal question.
I agree with that, and I didn't mention flight, and I explicitly said that we do get complaints. And
so given that plane complaints come from outside from under the direct noise path, I just want to put it to you that if you lived in Hackett, if you've been living in Hackett, or if you lived in Jerrabomberra, you'd be living happily, but you had the sort of growth that you're projecting for the airport, and you're going to be affected by aircraft noise, what would you do if you kept being woken up at night? What action would you take?
Just to continue.
I want to know what you do.
I want to also address your first part of the question. It was a question to me.
Yeah.
You are right. Most complaints in Australia are outside the ADF 20, and that's something that we've highlighted all the way along, particularly in relation to some of the developments in Queensland, which we think are inappropriate.
Yeah.
Most complaints are from under flight paths, directly under flight paths. Most complaints in Australia. Having said that, there is noise outside from under flight paths.
Yeah.
I accept there's an issue here in terms of there is concern here in this room.
So if you lived in Mackenzie Street in Jeff's place, what would you do? If Jeff's been living happily there now, but he's confronted with this huge projected growth in aviation that's spelled out in your plan, What would you do if you were starting to be woken up? 3 minutes
I think you have to be realistic about the amount of
No,
growth.
I want to know what you do.
But I think you
Find
have
out
to
the
be
suburb he lives in and move there.
Like this bloke in Perth, I mean, he said he's had a problem. If you ended up with a problem, what would you do? Sell your house or what?
Go to Deacon.
I think you have to be realistic about the amount of noise that we're proposing.
Yeah, I am.
We are
being
We wake up at 6 o'clock,
Every
shortly
morning.
after 6 o'clock. I don't want to wake up every hour in the night. What are you doing? A
This
class
also happens
action
on
or
a
what?
Christmas Day. There's no...
You haven't answered the question. Can you answer the question, please?
If you're woken up by noise, I mean, the issue is that the level of noise in this suburb, if you compare it to anywhere across Australia, is negligible compared to elsewhere in other cities.
What if you had a
Used to
phone?
be-
If you are waking up and that affects your health, what would you
It
do?
was exactly the
There
same
was
in
a
colour.
question, can you answer it? If you don't want to answer it, then say so.
Well,
It's a public
I'm answering
relations
as best
law.
I can.
Would you like to live in Hackett?
If you are waking up every
would you
half
like to
hour
live
in the
in?
night, what would you do?
I mean, this
At
is
this
what you're
point,
going
can I
to
just,
impose onto us.
Can I just bring the room back through the chair?
I bet you don't. It's a wonderful suburb.
Tom, would you like to answer the question? One last chance.
I think I actually have answered the question.
Okay,
You
right.
You wouldn't live in Hackett.
We've taken
The
you
level
to
of
the
noise,
case.
the level of,
It's
all
now-
honesty, the
can I
level of
just-
noise. Okay.
Can I just say it's now 4 minutes past 9 and we advertise the meeting until 9. We've got several people who'd like to ask questions. Can I just have a show of hands who would like to continue?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay, we will have a 5-minute extension of time. So that takes us into a question from Northern, and I've got Mike and this woman here, and if you can keep it quick and we can probably get through all 3. And please feel free to go if you need to go, that's absolutely fine, and thank you very much.
Please excuse me ignorance, obviously I actually came here to listen.
No, it's good to
I don't have a considered opinion yet, so I'm very sorry for that. But I didn't think it would be as politicised as it is. Jeff, you're an ex-RAFI. I'm an ex-Chook from the Army. Look, the three-barrel question. One, is there a strategic lift capability that we need to have at the Canberra airport? Something like C-17s or something that might be coming down?
You mean for defence?
For defence reasons?
No.
Okay. Second one is, I just don't get it. It seems like a lot of things are going unsaid, and I'm quite sure I'm missing out a lot of history, so I might be asking some stupid questions. But first of all, what's the likelihood of the Canberra airport being sold to an international company or a national company, so like Macquarie or something like that, or some sort of other firm? Has that come up yet? No, I'm not. I really don't want Tom speaking anymore. I'd like to know what Jeff thinks. Do you think that
while the Snow family can make money out of it,
Yep.
I would think, and make money well out of it, I would think they would continue with it. If they weren't, like any other owner of something, and when he starts to lose his gains or doesn't see it doing as well as thing, then he considers his options. Is that fair comment, Tom?
No, let's Tom. Tom, don't answer. Tom, don't answer the question. Thanks. Questions, Jeff. Third part of the question. Look, if the curfew goes ahead, obviously most of the people in this room would like to see the curfew go ahead.
Yeah.
What is the likelihood that would actually spawn, say, housing development like Tralee and things under the flight path or close to the flight path? Would there be any kind of negative effects by putting a curfew in place? No, seriously, I'm just asking. Sorry.
We're not going to hit you.
Yeah, no, I just said a few sighs. That's all.
We have a very brief answer from Jeff.
I think we have enough.
Well, Frank, to be honest, I don't know whether it would or not. Whether Tralee or any other development would go ahead as a consequence of a curfew being introduced. However, I will make an observation. When I picked up my copy of the plan, in actual fact, Tom's brother Stephen saw me there, and we spoke briefly over the thing. And in actual fact, Stephen did say that he thought that if a curfew did go ahead, not that he was supporting a curfew, but there was some possibility of a trailing night. Now, he was just speaking off the cuff, off his, off